Hi Terry, thank you so much for inviting us here today. Now we are going to go on an incredible journey with your life. You have had some amazing experiences since you were a child, basically connected around extraterrestrials. Now you call your friends the extraterrestrials, your Orion friends, but what we'd like to know is really when and how did it all begin for you?
I don't call them my Orion friends.
Oh, you don't?
No, it was when I had the book published that the publishers called them my Orion friends.
Oh, apologies, okay.
That's all right. But it all started for me, I suppose, from the time when I could acknowledge things and realise that, yeah, I'm here. But at a very young age, when I knew that I could probably, if I sat and concentrated, I could probably realise what people were thinking. Mm-hmm. And to me, I didn't think that was anything strange, because why should I? Mm-hmm. As a kid, I wouldn't know that. And I did know there was things going on in people's lives with sicknesses at a very young age, and I felt the ability that I might be able to help them as well. But as the years went on, I think the most amazing thing was when I had some back surgery done, which couldn't be done where we are now. It had to have been done outside of this planet. So that was when it all came home to me that, big time, there's more to this than just a psychic ability or a healing ability. There's also a real seriousness to it as to where all this stuff's coming from. Then, I'm not a UFO researcher. I don't sit in my garden looking up at the stars all night or anything silly like that, and I don't. I listen to a lot of people, what they have to say about the subject, but I try to distance myself from what they're saying as to what really happens to me. So when I researched it, because I'm not a UFO researcher, I researched myself. It was what I thought was happening, and actually took the trouble to get copies of X-rays. That was I got the proof, got medical reports, so I've got the proof as what's been happening. So I suppose from sort of 15 or 16 was a bit of a hard time for me when you suddenly are becoming an adult and you've got to deal with things in the real life, and when you get friends that you don't want them to think it's a bit weird, there's something going on here. But friends of mine have contacted me since, like back from when I was 14 or 15. There was one incident that some guy came to my home probably about 10 years ago, and because I'm getting on for about 33 now, so about 10 years ago, he turned up and he said, we hadn't seen each other for about 20 years, and he said, do you remember the time when we was in this particular park? And I said, yes. He said, and you went to the corner of the park. He said, there was like a greenish mist hanging over the park, and I thought then it had something to do with the stream that ran through the park. And I went across there, and then there was a little boy with similar colour hair to yours and these big blue eyes, and invited me into somewhere, which at the time it could have been the pavilion, I don't know. Something
so
like
you were invited into a building?
Into something, yeah.
Oh, into something.
But when I went in there, I didn't recognise it. It was obviously strange, you know.
Okay. It was a building, though?
No, it wasn't. No. To me, I was trying to, in my mind, accept it as a building.
Okay.
Because I've not experienced anything like this before.
Okay.
And so I went inside, and it was very clinical. And then he just took a nick out of my shin.
Was this someone the same age as you? You said a boy?
Yeah, just a youngster. Might have even been younger than me.
Okay.
With this beautiful blonde hair.
Can I just ask how they were dressed?
How they were dressed?
Can you remember?
I wouldn't. Well, yeah, I can remember. I didn't have a shirt and tie on.
Okay.
didn't have overalls on.
You dressed
but sort of bluey clothes they had on.
Okay.
I can't remember whether they were trousers or what they had on, but like a bluey. I wasn't taking that much notice, really.
Okay.
I was quite shook as to why he would want to sort of nick my
So
shin.
they took you into a building, or one person took you into a building.
Yes.
And then they took a...
I was assuming it was a blood sample.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you not wonder why they were doing that?
Of course I did.
Did you not object?
No, no, because I just went in the flow. I was in a state of shock, I suppose.
Okay.
But I did have a feeling that there was no harm in what was happening.
Okay.
You know.
So you were quite at peace with the situation.
Yeah, and of course then later years I can only assume that it was a craft that I went on.
Okay.
Some sort of if you like, alien craft. But my granddaughter said to me, well, you don't see UFOs, Grandad. How can you call them UFOs when you claim to be on board these things? So you know what they are. You know, they're ships from somewhere else. So that was probably a bit of a wake-up call when I was a kid. But this is my friend telling me that at the time he remembered it. He didn't go inside himself. There was two boys. There was Dave and a guy called Roy. And they said that they felt as though they were frozen at the time. They couldn't move. And it just...
Did you feel like time had stopped or changed or anything like that?
No, because I say I was sort of in a state of shock. And I didn't... It's not until you get older and you realise...
You look back.
Yeah, that you put an explanation to what happened.
Okay.
And so he said, but we always thought you was going to harm us. And I said, no reason to harm you. And he wanted me then to explain what happened, and I told him what my experience was with that. But why they done that, I don't know. I don't know. There's no sort of explanation for that. But that was, as I say, one of the first things that I started thinking then, well, what is going on? Does this happen to other people? Can't ask the question, because people just think you're completely crazy. So it was an illusion. So now somebody's told me that they saw it as well. Two people there that saw this thing happen. I got home that evening. I said to my mother that I'd been in the river down there and I caught my shin on a piece of glass.
So you didn't want to tell anyone what
so
had happened?
I actually made an excuse. So why should I want to make an excuse? But I did. That's what happened. But I know my mother knew different. She knows, and she's still alive, and she knows what went on, but she won't admit to any of it.
Could you? I know it's really going back in time for you, but can you remember anything about this place that you were taken into, where they took a nick of your skin?
It just looked like, no, to me it was like a clinic.
Oh, okay.
Very clinical. That's the only thing.
And was there other people there?
No, just that one person. It was a person.
Okay.
It wasn't a slug or a little grey thing.
No greys.
No, it was quite human looking.
Yeah. Now you don't believe in the greys as such, do you?
Well, I'd have to believe if I saw one, wouldn't I?
Okay.
But I haven't experienced that. And I don't know, I think it's a bit of a myth, and I think that I can't say too much because I don't want to be thinking that more women seem to have experiences with them than not. And I don't know why. So.
Well, I've come across this in other cases where I've spoke to people, and what the general consensus is because women only produce one egg per month, whereas a male obviously produces a lot of sperm, that there's less need for them to take the men, because people seem to think that they are crossbreeding or making a new population of alien human hybrids. We're not really sure what the bottom of it is, but that is why more women are taken than men, because they can get quite a lot from men. That's why, it's not very often that happens. But we're not sure why they take particular men. Is it just a lottery, or is there a specific reason that a certain male is taken? Is it because maybe someone in their family, their genetic line has been taken before them, so they want to carry on a certain line? What do you think about that theory?
Well, that's I hear what you say, but I don't really have an interest. I think that like women have their thing every month, and it affects their body big time.
Yes.
And I've known of women that have told me stories about things, but I found out that they've had miscarriages or upsets in their life, and it's a way for them to react, because I don't think there's any scientific proof that little grey aliens have come along and kidnapped somebody and taken them away and probed them or prodded them. I can't see what they should do, because
but they're
if these
not always
people,
greys, are they, that they're taking?
I don't know. I've not heard of any. To me, it's always the grey aliens. I don't know of any sort of. I don't know any other aliens. I mean, the guys that I talk about, I don't even call them aliens. And to me, they're not aliens. I think that we've all come from other planets to come onto this Earth, so we're not aliens. We've been brought here by other planets, and I think they could do that. They could fetch you here. Their technology is so advanced to what ours is. Why do they want to mess around with sperm and eggs and things?
Well, this is the question.
What
is going on?
So why do they want a new generation of what?
But if they are coming and taking a nick out of your skin as such, What is the purpose for that? Why?
Well, I can only put mine down to that my blood test comes back ever so strange, okay? And so does my mother's.
Yes.
And I got the proof of that. I've got the blood test done.
There's something like, is it bubbles in your blood? Or
oh, that's another thing.
Like you've been out of space, that's it.
That
like
was,
you've been
yes.
out in space.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Like you've been living in Mexico City for years, or you've been out in space as an astronaut. So there's that, which I've got the blood test come back. So I can only think that was done for a purpose when I was young. Like the experiences I've had, like which have been very frightening when I was young, is to maybe say to you, look, this you haven't experienced these things in life, so this is what's going to happen. So when I was a kid, I used to have some frightening experiences, and I've seen some frightening things.
You have, haven't you, after reading your book? Some very unusual things.
I've seen some frightening people as well. But,
I think we all see them.
But I don't talk about anything else other than what happens to me, because I don't know. And if people are seeing grey aliens running around or weird things, then obviously they've seen them. It's not for me to question. And if they've had implants done, well, then they have. I mean, I don't know. I can't recall anything like that happening to me. You know, mine's been a different sort of a thing that's been happening over the years.
So why is it happening to you, and why is what is happening to you happening to you?
I don't know.
They haven't told you?
I don't know. Why should they?
Well, I don't know. I think
what are they going to say?
They should give you a heads up, I think, at least.
No. I think I would probably realise that what's happening is quite a natural thing. So it's part of my life.
Well, it's part of your life, but you're not curious to know why.
No.
Because you wrote in your book about you have this connection with Egypt.
Yeah,
I think we all do. Goes back
in
possibly a past life to Egypt, that you believe that you were there, and it was a connection with the pharaohs, wasn't it?
Well, that was interesting, because that's something that Robert Bovell.
Because you've been to Egypt.
Yeah, I went with Robert and Graham Hancock, but I think that's how Robert worked it out, that maybe I was a pharaoh years and years ago, a very important one, of course. Do
you know which one?
No, but I always feel very impotent. So.
Impotent or important?
I was obviously an important pharaoh, of course. They had a capability. This is what Robert's telling me through his research, that they could go as a human person into the spirit world if they was at a certain place in Egypt by the pyramids, and they would go into the spirit world. So do you mean as in astral projecting? I don't know what that means.
Remote. Well, I think the posh word today is remote viewing.
Oh, it's a lot of crap, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's a lot of rubbish.
Why do you think that? Just before
you see, you know, you're going to find that when you're in a dream state, all weird things can happen, can't they? You know, in a dream state. So I don't know with these things. I'd have to be on some very strong drugs, I think, to do this astral projecting or whatever it is.
I have to personally say I have astral projected.
Oh, my wife said she
or
has.
remote viewed, and I know a lot of people who have, and it is different to a dream.
Well, then, okay, so I can not remote view, but I can see things going on and happening.
Well, everybody has experiences in different ways,
don't call
they?
it remote. I don't put names on the things that happen to me. I just think it's a natural thing, a natural occurrence, if you like. So I don't have to put a box or a tab to it that, I just remote viewed, because I didn't. I saw something. In the book I predicted the thing that happened, the tsunami. Okay? Yeah, but the publishers wouldn't put the full story because it would frighten people. Okay? Now, to me, that's not remote viewing. That's my computer in my brain waking up, like they did years ago, and saying, look, this is what you're capable of seeing. You can see these things that go on. And so, but to me, that's not a remote viewing.
I think there's so many different things that we try to figure out when we get messages or feelings. Not necessarily everything is a remote viewing or an astral projection, because you usually have to be in a strange state of a deep consciousness or a meditation to go on an astral projection. But sometimes you just get a flash, don't you, or a feeling that something's going to happen, and you get a lot of these, don't you?
Yes, yeah, I get knowing things. You know, I mean, the thing in Egypt is that I'd get a regular occurrence. I mean, probably every other week of seeing something, and it would be standing back from the pyramids and seeing like a big sun coming over and to emerge me. And I think that's the feeling of going into the spirit world, but not as an actual astral projection, but as actually physically going there as a human being into the spirit world. So I put the brakes on it, because I don't want to go there.
So you actually had an experience, didn't you, in one of the Egyptian tombs, didn't you? So did you feel like you were, like in the movie Stargate, actually going to be, because in the movie Stargate they are used as like transportation machines?
You know, I think that, like,
is that what you believe they are?
All these, you see the comics and all these things, why do they put these things? Because obviously they've happened.
Well, exactly.
And
there's always
when
a bit of truth in it, maybe.
Yeah. I think that I was trying to explain to Robert and Graham that the sarcophagus is actually it's a machine that travels through space, and you don't need a door in the sarcophagus in the pyramids to get this thing in and out, because when it's up and running, it's transparent anyway. So there's a sort of
so the whole thing moves?
No, no, it just goes like a big jelly.
Okay.
So things can travel in and out. So it's like this thing travels like a superconductor, so it can whiz out into space. But I think they brought spirits and souls back in this thing, because it's made of granite and it was a sealed thing.
Were you not curious to just let go and go?
No.
Why?
Because something tells me it wouldn't be the thing to do. Because I think I'd just go bump and be stone dead on the spot. And I didn't want that to happen. Because I think you've got to be dead. And I think these pharaohs used to die when they had that experience. They'd go into the spirit world, but that's where you would be. Which is a far better place apparently to be than what it is here.
So I've heard. Sign me up.
That's why the pharaohs they want their body to last longer on this earth. Because when it rotted away, then they'd probably come back.
Do you know anything of monatomic gold that the pharaohs were supposed to have ate, I believe?
Well, what they do is powdered gold.
Yes.
And what they would do, there's in carrots, there's like the carotene in carrots. In certain foods there is this substance. And what it would do would give you telepathy. And so you'd be very telepathic. And that's what the other pharaohs, I think before the pharaohs, I don't think that we used to talk as we're talking, because I think I watched a programme about wolves, and they reckon the wolves taught us how to speak.
Sorry,
wolves.
Can you repeat that?
They taught us how to speak.
Wolves taught...
Because of their grunting, because I think we used to grunt a lot. I grunt a lot now and sniff a lot. But I reckon that that's got something to do with it, because we left the loss of telepathy. We didn't have to talk to people, we could just sort of do this through our minds.
Are your pharaohs, which you believe you're in contact with, the extraterrestrials from Orion, did they genetically engineer mankind? Are they connected with the Anunnaki?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because when I see the program on the crystal skull, and that's supposed to be some sort of computer device of what our brain is supposed to be or something.
Is this the one, Star Child?
No, there's several crystal skulls,
right,
but
yes,
I think there's possibly supposed to be one genuine one.
Oh yes, I know.
See, I'm not talking from experience, I'm talking from watching what I see on the TV. Now, and the Anunnaki, I mean, I don't know, I've heard stories about that sort of thing, but I don't think that we were particularly, maybe we were modified for the atmosphere on this planet, to be able to breathe on this planet, and things like that. Maybe there were things done like that, but I think we were human beings before we come here, but maybe adjusted to suit the planet. Like we get different nationalities, so like the Mayan Indians will come from their planet, the Tibetan monks, and and also they got some of the bodies of the star people, like the Tibetan monks, in one of their places, and the Egyptians have got their bodies of the star people, you know, so they've all got the people there, but you're not going to get to see them, obviously. But these are the first people to come to the earth from the beginning. But yeah, I think we were probably just adjusted or finely tuned to settle down on this planet, just to hate each other and kill each other and shoot each other and cause a load of problems.
Yes.
But I don't think we've realised yet that we don't need that. That's not part of it.
Still got a bit of a journey to go. What do you know of extraterrestrials from wherever actually having bases on here, on Earth, or in the sea? A lot of people seem to think they have bases underwater and also bases on the moon. But if you could tell us about what you know about
I don't know anything.
ETs who actually are here.
I'll only know what you know, because I only know what I've seen on the TV, and whether I want to believe that or not.
Well, I just wondered, because you have a lot of very interesting contacts who maybe can share things with you in confidence or not in confidence. Do you think that we're actually moving towards some kind of big contact as such? A lot of people do seem to think...
I think that's happened. They reckon
we
that...
have had contact, but I'm saying for the general public to...
Yeah, well, you've only got to look at old churches, and if you look at the lead light in old churches, and a lot of the churches have had their UFOs taken away because of different people, like I think one of the kings of France got rid of a load of stuff. So I think that's happened. And what you're saying is it going to happen again? Possibly it will. Because it's happened, because you're going to look at the religious side of things, and the Bible's full of UFOs. And you look at old churches, you look at monuments around the world, and in caves, the drawing of UFOs.
Well, this is it, isn't it? It goes back thousands of years,
so
cave drawings,
yeah,
isn't it?
And so the people have seen them.
Yes.
It has happened. So whether it's going to come around again, why not? But I couldn't put a date on when. But I'm sure that people are getting, like, a load of UFOs in Mexico. There must be some contact there. In Sweden, there must be contact there with people. So I think it is happening, but we don't get to hear about it.
You talk about your alien friends, blonde hair, blue eyes. But what about aliens from other planets? Do you know of aliens coming from other star systems?
No, because over the years I've worked it out.
And are they all friendly?
I've only worked it out that, in my mind, through my experience, is that we've got two spirits and a soul, like some of the native Indians say. Okay. So one of our spirits is not particularly here, it's somewhere else. So that spirit, is that the spirit that you see when you're in need to call for help? Is that another replica of us somewhere else?
Okay.
So I just think that in the beginning, when we came, and as things came round, that we came from different stars, and we were put here as humans. And I think that we did leave behind that other spirit. I think the one lot of Indians have like a little doll, a little replica of themselves when they was on another planet. I think it's called a Katina doll, something like that, which was them on another planet, which the dress was completely different as to how they dressed now.
I've heard this before, actually, that we have a replica. And I have heard the connection with Orion again, so not just from yourself, but from others, that we have a body duplicate. I hope it's not like the body snatchers, but there is a body duplicate, and we are heading towards some change where that body is going to be becoming the main body. Do you know anything about that?
Well, that could happen. I mean, the Americans have for years with their rockets and things, they want to get out into space, they're trying to get to Orion, because they think, I think they seem to think that that's heaven. That's where it's actually heaven. And I heard a story a while back that the Hubble telescope had picked up this big white city out in space. One of the newspapers had published it, and they was told to keep quiet about it. And
can you just say that again?
Yeah. The Hubble telescope picked up a big white city.
White city
out in space. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I've not heard that one.
And the newspapers published it, and they was told not to publish it. And the Pope finished up with all the information, because if you want to know the truth, you just go to the Vatican.
Well, yeah, but they don't give anything away. They won't even give us the true Bible.
They ain't going to tell you.
It's all behind closed and locked doors.
They're not going to tell you. So they do know what's going on, you know, and very controlling people.
Yes.
Not very nice, is it? But anyway.
Well, no, because knowledge is power, isn't it?
Of course.
And ultimate knowledge is ultimate power.
And it has to come out in the end, which it has to come out eventually.
Well, this is what people seem to think that we are heading towards, and they seem to think something is going to happen very soon.
That's a good thought. But I've heard this for a few years now, like, the end is nigh. But I've heard that, they're going to turn up on our doorstep.
People with their placards going down Oxford Street.
Yeah, it never happened, did it?
Well, I don't know, because there wasn't a specific date, but I think as we're coming up to the 2012, I'm sorry to keep saying that to people.
The Mayan calendar and things. But you can't predict the end of the world.
Well,
because there'll be nobody here to say, I predicted that.
Well, people aren't saying it is the end of the world, but what they're saying is there's supposed to be a huge shift, isn't there?
Is there?
A shift in consciousness or the way we live.
Do you think it might be something to do with maybe what's happening now with the American, now they've got their president and things are turning round, and I don't know. You see, he's not.
He won't be. I don't put a lot of faith.
He won't be running America.
A certain American
the Bush family
president
will. And Clinton will be running
Well,
America.
They always have, haven't they?
They will run it. And unless he slips up and says something openly, which I hope he does do, they will control people.
But it's always the same faces in power, isn't it?
Of course.
Always the
all
same
through
faces.
history.
And this is where I was going with the ET contact before, because we hear of Roswell. I mean, Roswell is just, everybody knows about Roswell. But it's, what about the things behind closed doors where there's supposed to have been multiple crashes of UFOs, but we are supposed to be, one hears, working with ETs. We have got ET contact, whether they are from Orion or from elsewhere.
Have you spoken to Marcus Allen at all? Marcus Allen.
Oh, Marcus Allen, no.
Yeah, he does a talk on maybe some of the technology we got has come from these crashed craft, like Velcro and things like that. He does the Nexus magazine.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And interesting guy. I've given some lectures and he's been there, and very interesting to listen to. And then the subject you're talking about may relate to, he would probably know more than I do about that because he's researched it. But most of what happens to me is what happens to me.
Yes.
So I can't really give you proper answers on other things, only my opinion.
Have you come across other people who've had similar experiences to you? That
Never.
Never?
No.
Never?
No, there's nobody that I can say, like I was saying to you earlier, that can say that their father used to go to a certain place every morning to meet extraterrestrials, which I found out recently.
Do you think your father was an extraterrestrial?
I don't know. There was one lady that I did a TV, and she told me I was part of an experiment that happened back in the 40s, but now I found out the background of this lady, I think she's dreaming. So I don't, unless you've got the real proof. I mean, I've got all the proof of what happened to me happened. So when I talk about other things I've got no proof of. It could just be hearsay, if you like. And I can't write too much into what other people say about me, because a lot of people say, well, I'm like you. No, you're not, and you wouldn't want to be like me. Why are you like me? You're like me that I'm a human being, but you wouldn't want to be me. My wife would tell you that. You wouldn't want to be me. I'm telling you, you just wouldn't. Because all the weird things happen to me, it's hard to control. But I've met some people, some famous people, which maybe I can't name names because of the TV.
No, that's fair enough.
But one particular celebrity who's a comedian, and the stories he told me, and he had an experience when he was about 7, and he predicts things, he heals people, he sees things, but he can't contain it, and he's permanently on drugs because of it.
Sad.
I did a show with a radio show with Reg Presley. I think it was Capital Radio, and they said, "How do you get these messages?" And Reg said, "Well, they usually contact me through my mobile phone, and I hand it over to Terry so he can talk to them." And we said, "Well, it's not nothing like that. It's just knowing something, and acting on what you know." So I'm not going to get a voice in my head saying it's 10 o'clock, it's about time we got out of bed, because I know it isn't. I want to get up at 11 o'clock. But I don't get nothing like that. I might get some visions, which can happen any time.
Yeah.
There's some disaster or something happens.
Because you have had quite a few, haven't you?
Yeah, there's that sort of thing. But to explain how it really happens, I don't know. It's just part of me, you know. And to me it's not weird or anything like that. You know, I don't, you know, if I cut myself it bleeds, or if I get a cold I get a cold. But the thing on the healing side of it, I don't claim to heal anybody. I don't claim that. They claim it, not me. So I don't say...
But you help people with their healing process.
I think about people. Yes. You know, I think about them when they was well, and sort of do it that way. But not everybody, you know. So
do you think that your... well, you don't call them your Orion friends. What do you call them then?
I don't call them anything. This is part of me, an extended part of me, I suppose, like my spiritual
self. Do you
self.
call them your extraterrestrials? What do
No.
You don't call them anything?
No. Just, no, nothing at all. I haven't got a name or anything.
But if you have to refer to them, how do you refer to them?
Well, now I'd say it's a spiritual me.
Okay.
Another me, like we were saying earlier on, like it's a replica of yourself, somewhere else. You know, that can make these things happen.
So if you've got contacts with Orions, what do you think it's like on their planet?
I thought about that. Yeah, loads of times. Do you know I've had dreams?
Like buildings are like, or how they live?
Do you know I've had dreams or things, and I think this must be the street that they live in. You know, it might be somewhere like a nice town or something. But then I get all a bit fed up a few days later, because I get in the car, we go somewhere, and it's the town that I dreamt about, and I think, oh God, it's not where they live, it's here, you know, now. So I don't know, I can only imagine things, you know, and, but it wouldn't be right, would it, that I'm imagining that and it's not real, you know?
No.
Maybe they go around like a little ghost or something, and they go whoosh, all the time.
Well, you believe, because your back's been healed, that their technology is so much more advanced, so they wouldn't be driving around in cars and flying around in planes and using petrol like we do.
Maybe it's a very tranquil place that they just sit there playing cards all day or something. You know.
Do you think they're sort of... well, you said when you seen the boy who took you into the building, that he looked like you. But would that have just been an image that he would have projected for you? Do you think they'd be more of like an etheric being, like a lighter type of body? Not quite a ghost-like, but not as dense as what a human being is.
Well, the one that I did see that came into the bedroom that time was quite a normal-looking person. But whether there's a trick there, and that was a hologram or something like that, I don't know. But to me, that was real. But if it was a spiritual thing, maybe there's no body attached.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to go down that path and start imagining all sorts of things and driving myself around the bend, you know? So I don't think it'd be fair to me. So I try to accept what happens to me happens, and then not... I think if I knew too much, then it would all go wrong, you know? I just try to look at things as I can.
Are you happy to have these experiences all the time?
Well, I'm happy or not, I've got them. Sometimes I'm not. You know, a lot of
Could
the time.
you give us an example when you've not been happy?
Well,
if it's not too personal.
Yeah, because it can be embarrassing. Where I was living before, there was me dying and a friend, a lady friend of Diane's, and we was watching the television, and I said, oh, look at them poor children, that coach has left the road and gone into a tree. It's on the news, on the telly.
Okay.
But the news wasn't on the TV, but that's what I could see. I said, them poor children, some of them have died, you know, it's terrible. And this lady said, but you're not watching the news, you're watching another programme, so what are you talking about? I said, I've just seen this coach leave the road and go into a tree. And she rang me about an hour later, and she got the news on. She said, that just happened. How did you know it happened before it happened? And so that does annoy me, to think that why should it be so precise at that moment that I have to blurt it out. My grandson's very psychic, and I said to him, just don't say anything to anybody. Don't tell them anything, don't say anything, just let it go, you know. And I try to do that a lot, but I do sometimes, I think it's important that I see an illness in somebody, I will advise them to see a doctor, or, you know, or to see a specialist about it. You know, and I've done it on quite a few occasions, and the results come back that they thank me that there was something wrong.
Well, that's it. You've found something.
But you've got to remember
problem, yeah.
that this might be something, because dogs have a very sensitive thing that to their owners and to other people. I was just sitting in the barber's the other day and a dog came up and started licking my hand because I cut him. Now they're supposed to have an antiseptic in their tongue.
Yeah, I've heard that actually.
And one dog's owner kept licking him on his leg and he had cancer there and they found it.
I've heard that
So-
dogs can pick up cancerous cells.
So
actually.
maybe I've got that ability to pick up on people. Put it in a different light.
You're a dog, really.
Yeah, I know.
Now, you've had quite an experience with something called the time machine in Bath. If you could just share that story. It's quite amazing.
Well, it was a few years ago when I started trying to find out what this thing was about and people's experiences, and maybe I've been somebody with a similar experience, you know. And then I was giving lectures for UFO groups.
Okay.
And I came across this, well, they rung me up, this group over at Camberley, and said, would I give a talk for them? I said, yeah, sure, we'll do that. So I did. And then a few weeks later, they rang me, and we all got friends, and they said, we'd like to take you down to Bath to show you this time machine. And I thought, right. And I said to Diane, I think we might have hit the jackpot here. These people have really lost it. and so I thought, well, we'll have a go.
Okay.
So we drove down there the first time, and the chap's car actually broke down on the way down there.
Oh, okay.
And they all thought it was a bad omen or something, you know, these people. And I just thought, no, it's your gearbox gone. You know? So we didn't make the first trip. Then the second trip came round, and so we went down there, not knowing what to expect. Now, if you can imagine, it's a row of terrace houses. This is the end terrace house in Bath.
Okay.
Very, very tiny house. It was on the left-hand side, and so we went up to the door. They knocked on the door. This guy came to the door, and they went in there pretty fast. But I didn't, because I didn't know I had to. And the guy literally pulled me in the door. And
Why?
because when you went in there, the thing opened up to a big, massive hall, a big room, which wasn't possible for a small terrace house.
Are we talking TARDIS-like here?
Yeah, like a
Oh,
TARDIS.
okay.
And the reason he pulled me through is he said, if you don't do that, you'll be sick. It will just make you sick. So he just whipped me in there. So then I looked all around,
strange.
very, very curious at the place. He had loads of antiques in there. Then he had what he called the healing machine, which was it was like a table you'd do operations on, or you'd.
Now, you've got some pictures of that, haven't you?
Yeah, you'd look at people on if they weren't very well. And over the top of it was like a big, massive, bright light, which he told me there was £250,000 worth of precious gemstones in there, with big helium lights at the back. People have since said that it was impossible because those helium lights would probably radiate you. It wasn't healthy. Worse than going on the sunbed. So then he was explaining how it worked, and I said, where did you get the idea from? He said, well, I wanted to meet you, he said, because I'd read your book and you talk about Orion, etc. He said, I had an experience, he said, that I met these people from Orion. I've been in their ship, and they gave me the blueprints of this machine. And I had to go to Hewlett-Packard to tell them to build this machine. Well, this was like back in the 60s, the early 60s, that this happened to him. I've heard that Hewlett-Packard, when they started, their idea was to build a time machine. Then it sort of entered computers. So maybe this is part, but they built a computer for him, which he had there, and he put an audio tape in his computer, and the most weird things happened. So he said, but with this machine, this healing machine, he was charging like £20 an hour, but he was taking more electric than I think.
Yeah.
I actually shoved my agent on there because he had migraine, and we put him on there, and it did help him. It helped him, but he said it had loads and loads of famous people there, Maggie Thatcher, loads. But he had a book that I'd all signed. Okay.
Did you have a peek?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He had a look. Yeah, and they'd all signed the book. And he said that he had this. The other end of the room was this big dome in the ceiling, which was, he said, was a time travel machine. And I thought, well, we'll have a go at that one.
There was something unusual about the dome, wasn't there?
Yeah, I, being a bit curious, asked him if I could use his toilet. But what I did, I went upstairs over this room to see whether the dome come up in the room. Now the dome should have gone through the room, I would have thought at least, I don't know, maybe getting on for 3 feet. Now I know the distance between the ceilings is not that because I worked on the building. So how did he hide that? But the ceiling level downstairs was constant right the way through. So the ceiling level was as it is. Now he got his hand and he went like that and he put it through the dome. And now I'm thinking, that's a trick.
He put it actually through the dome of the ceiling?
Out, yeah. Then he said, well, I can, on this occasion, I won't use the time machine. But if you come back and we get ready for it, we can use it. So I said, well, fair enough. But I was looking all around the place and it's the most unusual place I've ever seen. This guy was about 78 years old. I think his name was Gordon Pringle, something like that, Pringelli, something like that. He's passed away now. But this machine was keeping him alive because he had kidney problems. My friend was on there laying there and it was cooking him. He went quite black. But he said, within 20 minutes of getting off, you'll come to your normal colour.
Okay.
And, which he did.
Don't do a nice turn.
Yeah. And the second time I visited, I went down and I explained it to Lionel Vanthorpe about this thing and he wanted to see it.
Okay.
So I said, I'll get you an invite. So we all met there and Lionel, his wife and one of his daughters.
Sounds a bit like the famous five going on an adventure.
Yeah, well, I said, no, I'm not going. No, I think now although she says I think she wished she had done because that was an experience. So the second time we turned up there and I took my friend who's a security person to check the house out because he said that they tried to blow his house up and he had a steel front door and reinforced windows. Every time you went in there he would pull the blinds so it was completely dark in there.
Can we just rewind then? Who tried to blow up his house?
Well, he seems to think there was the pharmaceutical people.
And how did they
because
try
they
to
sell
do
drugs. I don't know. But there was
You just
explosions.
said that
We
they
checked
did.
up and there was
Okay.
explosions in the street because the people said it blew all their windows out. So something did take place there. So anyway, so my friend is actually checking the place out, like to see how secure it was, and it was. And he was curious about this dome in the ceiling. Where did it go to, etc.
Who built the dome?
I don't know. Hewlett Packard, I suppose.
Because we know Hewlett Packard built
I don't know.
the machine.
He never said.
That would
But
have
this-
been interesting to know who did the dome. Yeah.
It's all taken away now, but it's, perhaps it's gone somewhere in time. Perhaps they use it on Doctor Who. We don't know.
Who knows?
Anyway, so we sat round.
The government must have it.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we sat round and underneath this dome, and he played this music like the '60s music, and I thought, no big deal. I ain't going anywhere. Then the next thing, I'm in Rome. I'm there, and I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. I'm sure that maybe they couldn't see me. Maybe it was a dream. But then it seemed so real. But I've been to Rome. And I've been to the places there. So maybe because I've been there, that I knew what it was like. But then I've gone to places I didn't recognise in Rome. And they was doing some building work there. And then...
How do you mean modern day or old?
Old.
Rome? Okay.
Then the next thing is that we're sort of dozy looking at each other. And we asked questions, what happened? And we all said, yeah, we've been to Rome. All said the same thing.
All had been to Rome?
Yeah. I don't know whether... Lionel doesn't seem to think he was there for that experience. I'm not sure, so I can't say whether he did or not, really, to put the record
Do you know what the
straight.
time period was when you were supposed to be there?
So, no.
No.
I don't know at all, but it's old, you know?
AD or BC?
I don't know. So, then, we're just sitting there and we thought, we was just talking about things. Then the chap that owned the place, he said, oh, I think it's time you left now, it's getting on. Now, we got there for around about 12ish.
Midday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're talking, maybe an hour we spent, but now we're talking at 6 o'clock in the evening. So where were we for that 5 hours? You know, that was gone.
So it was
we
like
come out, it was
a
dark.
time machine.
We come out, it was dark. And we felt a little bit tired and a bit groggy, you know. And coming back home, the driver even said, he said, I just don't feel right, you know. And we said, well, we pulled over into a cafe and had a cup of tea and sort of dealt with it until we got our senses back to us. So that happened. Then I've heard that people have gone down there and have tried to steal things from him, and
Oh, that's horrible.
yeah, all sorts of things, and try to get the ideas of what goes on. But there's another machine my publishers found at the bottom of the Pyrenees, and
What, the same as this one?
no, there's a group of people there. I forgot what they call themselves now, but they're self-sufficient, and they sell like pasta to Harrods and things like that. But it was an insurance guy that made a load of money and built into this mountain and put this big glass thing in there, and introduced this time machine, which apparently was working.
Well, funny enough, that was gonna be my next question, was, do you know of any others?
And there's supposed to be one in Russia and one in Sweden. And I mean, it was interesting when my son, when he was working for this company, and one of the chaps come in and said he'd just been to Sweden, and he said he'd been to this place, and he said, I saw some strange lights in the sky. He said then they came in bigger, and he said it was like big craft. He said we all got frightened, and we went into the hotel and was looking out the windows, and the people in the hotel said, you don't have to be frightened, they come here all the time, they've come from the stars to see us. And they would go to the village and talk to the children of the village, and they were blue-eyed with blonde hair as well. So
I mean, I was thinking back to the time machine here. If this chap in Bath had this one in his house, and there's supposed to be others in the Pyrenees, but if the government or others have something like this, and it's in the wrong hands, the implications of this is absolutely horrendous. How things could be taken back, go back in history or in the future, and things are changed. I mean, you just need to take like that one person in a timeline, and it alters everything.
It's a bit like the film, isn't it, with the old DeLorean car going into time and back in time, changing things.
Well, they say the ripple effect, I mean, it could be absolutely huge, couldn't it?
Well,
just you change one thing in history, it's actually quite dangerous. And how do we know that it hasn't happened? Something could have happened. When you went to Rome, something could have happened, couldn't it? Something could be changed.
And why did I go to Rome? And I've never wanted to go to Rome. And then it was just that me and Di went to Rome prior to that. Why?
Do you know of anybody else who used the time machine in this chap's house that went anywhere else?
There was the story that I heard from the guy that owned it was that he sent somebody back in time, but when he came back to our time, he was badly bruised and been beaten up, and he had to take him to hospital, and they couldn't explain to the hospital what happened, but he knew that he'd been attacked.
Where?
I don't know the story. He wouldn't tell me. He just said, it's very dangerous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, what if someone had gone into the time machine? Not that I want to put a damper on this, because it sounds like a fantastic experience, but they actually died in their experience. Something had happened, like this chap. I mean, that again must have huge implications.
Well, I'm thinking that I'm feeling that I'm there, but these people are ignoring me. I've got my normal clothes on. That would be questionable, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah.
They're
So
ignoring me.
what maybe they can't see you.
Maybe there's two things here, because he said if I put this other audio tape on, it's different to this one I'm putting on. So maybe there's one that you actually are there, because he was holding back on a load of things.
So what you're saying is like you're just an observer.
Yeah.
They can't see you.
Yeah.
It's like you're just being a voyeur, and you can see what is happening at that time. So it's really like your, I suppose we could say, psychic eye. Your psychic eye is seeing it, but your physical body isn't necessarily there. That's quite a scary.
But for it to happen to 6 or 7 people with the same story.
Well, as I say, they've all
That's
tuned in on a frequency.
Yeah.
But science is progressing all the time, and we have no idea really what goes on behind closed doors.
The other one is called Damaha in Italy.
Okay.
So that might be worth looking up. I think it's Damaha. I've actually got a tape of it, but not in use. But they went there and they said there's lots of copper pipe running around the walls, copper, big thick copper stuff around the walls, and that there's some sort of an earthing thing, whatever it is,
But I think it's the ones that we don't know about, which are there, that are the most worrying,
Well,
and why they're being used.
Apparently the Germans had a similar thing, or were delving into it, and I saw a programme about that. which was it's quite interesting. And it reminded me of this guy. I mean, he was 78 years old and he was quite fit for his age, but then we lost contact and unfortunately he's passed away. But where all that stuff's gone, I just don't know.
Well, where does anything like this go,
Yeah.
which is of a new technology?
Yeah,
It goes usually into the government's hands.
but probably.
That's why I didn't understand why the ships were half buried in their own planet. A third of the ships couldn't be used. Of course they couldn't. They were dead inside anyway. Yeah. And in that case, the entire planet's dead. Yeah. Whatever backup they got there. And that's, you know, they'll never be used. They'll be there as monuments to an evil culture. If that's what's happened, we should run out. Not really, because they're light years away. Long and far further than we can ever go.
Unless we know the technology.
So they actually travel through some sort of a time warp
Oh,
rather
they can
than a
open
cross
doors.
space.
They said they're within 2 days of that going on. They've been opening doors in the time warp and escaping past through there. So there was no, I don't know. Atlantis had those, not like that. They had merely had a disc with 12 stones in. 2 discs there. They were called the Silmarils. And the priests held them, and they used to use the sun to shine through. They're big stones. They weren't little, they're big ones. And they had a limited amount of heat from them, which was in those days powerful, you know, great magic, Merlin and all that. Right? And they went to war over them, apparently. And according to one of the contacts with Grandmasters, I was one of those that blew Atlantis up, or had a good hand in it. So they say, this is my penance, I got to put this right now, so it may be right, I don't know. But it took 50 years to get down. They're stones.
Stones. That's the jewels.
Yeah. And there, look under there.
Look underneath that one.
Won't hurt you.
Good grief, that's beautiful, isn't it?
Biggest plate of jewels ever put together in the history of mankind. In a plate of gold.
That's really beautiful.
That's gold, Tom. You're looking at.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
Quarter of a million pounds.
Absolutely gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
Quarter of a million
colours
quid.
coming off of there, yeah. It's only money, Arthur.
Yeah. It's not, it's energy.
That's it. I mean, you know, money's not important, that is.
No, it's amazing what you can do.
Yeah.
Well, me going people can't usually look at night, and we used to take these out the houses. Dr. Cost and I used to go around them, and put them right by the rate sort of thing. And they took one look at, couldn't look at that sort of thing. And I said, yes we can, and that's it. But which one? That one? Yeah. That's a different. You don't need open right there. But I wouldn't mind betting that within 20 minutes you'll be looking at it.
Does it work on the energy field in some way? This?
Don't know what.
You don't know really.
What it is, it's a mix and many other things.
Just tilt on to move the end.
Buckingham Palace,
Just turn it this way.
Buckingham Palace, Chris Patton, all of them were in it, Mrs. Thatcher, Downing Street, but it didn't have anywhere.
Yeah.
Too good.
It's above and below. Can you see it in there?
Probably.
No, it looks as though you're behind it.
Does it?
Yeah, come forward.
Well, I am right
No.
forward of the thing.
Yeah, come forward more.
Well, I am now 2 foot in front of it, Sylv.
No, it still looks as though your hand's behind it.
But I can actually feel
Yeah, you can.
that
It's a wonderful thing.
so what? It's fantastic, isn't it? It really is. Absolutely beautiful.
Put your hands under that one then, Tom.
Yeah, that is.
That is something else.
That doesn't feel.
I've got a precious.
Yeah, yours going out just from last year.
No, it's,
I'll take the
no,
phone
it's,
and get rid of it. Lots of time.
It's either acrylic or it's...
There you go, and that's I want you to keep your eyes shut. I shouldn't just sort of simulate it, you know, get it there, right?
Yes, fine.
It's the same size, but it's just extending the light source.
Pass.
As I say, on Monday evening I was with a guy who is very, he is a healer, and he's also he's a bit of a clairvoyant and all the rest of it. And when I was talking to him, there's another friend of mine who makes he's got a camera, you know, the ordinary video camera, and they have a program which they use, and they're trying to look at the aura. It's like the energy field around you, but using a video camera.
The Kurdian.
Like similar sort of thing, but not quite the same. It's not the sort of principle, but it's the idea is to try and see what is around you. Well, 4 years ago, another friend of mine who I met while I was down here, he came along to understand colour.
Yeah. That's a computer fan to keep the computer cool. It's an old computer I put in there over 20 years ago.
Now you're working on a new book, aren't you, Terry?
Well, we have been for about the last 20 years.
No,
we've been.
You're taking your time.
We got this one is to do, fun enough, with about how you can travel from planets, you know, and different things that will throw you from one planet to another, and maybe the way that they bend space. But there was a guy. Now I'll tell you this: there was a guy. I got a phone call from a guy who puts all them things out in space, and he works for this university in Guildford. He's very, very clever, and they wanted to do a 3D picture of the Earth, and he done it with mirrors. You know, he's a clever person, and I gave a talk once, and I was talking about how you can finish up, because the stars are nearer than what we think they are, and they can finish up there quicker. Okay, but we are drifting away from the stars now. Within years, they're going to be so distant. So I was explaining how you can travel, and if you was to travel out in space, there are like things out there like gravity that will slow you down because of the solar wind from the planets. It causes a gravity, and this guy said, "Well, I don't think so, you know." Anyway, so I get a call from this guy called Arthur, and he said the guy works for the BBC. I think he was called Cook or somebody. Has done this report, and they're wondering why one of the satellites is not moving on its buffeting. But they found out it's buffeting against gravity. So you would need a magnetic energy to get through that, which these guys from the stars can do. So he said he's prepared to send you the report, and you can use it in your next book. So I've got his report.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I can do, if the book comes out, I can do all sorts of things, you know. There was an airline pilot locally in Crowthorne that I met, was told to keep quiet, mustn't say anything. And I happened to be on a small aeroplane with one of my friends, and she brought him along with us, and she said, "This is Captain so-and-so, worked for British Airways and worked for somebody else, and he's had an experience and wants to talk to you." And his experience was that he was coming into Heathrow. He said, we were quite a bit out, but that was our course in Heathrow. He said, and two craft come across the front of the aeroplane. He said, and we saw them. He said, within a few seconds, he said, the people on the aeroplane could see these things, but they couldn't make out just what they were. He said, but we know what they were because we've seen them before. He said, then they come across the front of us again. He said, then they come left to right, and then they just shot off. He said, I had to do a report, and when I got back, but I was told not to tell anybody anything. He said, when I retire in 2 years' time, here's my card. He said, you come and see me, and if you want to put that in the book, I'll tell you exactly what happened, times, places, and everything. Since the book was out, I've had loads of people come forward, loads of celebrities and loads of people, military people, that told me stories that have only convinced me with what happened to me was real, it was true.
Yes.
It had to be, you know? So that's the good side of it. And so I can sleep at night, not worrying.
Well, you know your truths, don't you?
Yeah.
So on a final thought, just before we finish, 2 questions, I guess. Do you think that we will have mass alien contact soon? And if you do you think it'll be like Close Encounters, or will it be like Independence Day, friend or foe?
So it'd be like mashing your potato up, or blowing up the
Will they
White House.
come in peace? What do you think?
Well, the only experience I've had has been peaceful,
Peaceful.
beneficial. Somebody said once, well, if you've been on board a UFO and this happened, why don't you brought something back? I said, well, if you go in the hospital and have an operation, you don't go around nicking things, do you? And under them circumstances, you know, what am I supposed to do? I brought back an operation which I'm very grateful for. That's what I brought back.
You brought back a new body.
Yeah, that's what I brought back.
And you're grateful at that.
Yeah, so, you know, you can't, but I suppose really some people, when they don't believe these things, it's very difficult. But why should I have to explain myself?
Well, you don't have to.
I don't have to, do I? You believe it or you don't. I really don't care. I'm past that. You know, I never went into that anyway, because I'm so convinced all the way through my life that I didn't have to prove anything to anybody. Okay, I've got all the x-rays and things for my own benefit, and my blood test my own benefit. You know, that's what really happened.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, it's benefited your life and the people around you.
It's made it easier for me to understand.
Exactly.
I don't have to go looking.
It happened for a reason, whether you know what the reason is or not.
Maybe. Yes. Yeah, maybe. Like I say in the book, I don't think that I'm here to save the world, or they are, but I think they keep a very close eye on it. You know, I mean, when you see like Bentwaters, what happened up there, and they disarmed all the nuclear warheads, you know, and they were in this country, we didn't even know they was in this country, our government didn't even know they were in this country, you know. And when you see these, like the things on UFOs, which I watch on the telly sometimes, and when these guys are around, they're always doing good things. You know, apart from the little greys that go around probing you, I don't know.
And on that probing note, oh, thank you so much, Terry, for your time. It's been absolutely fascinating, the experiences that you've had, and I'd love to be able to have some of them myself.
Maybe you will.
I do hope so.
Thanks for taking your time out.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
No, because I say I was sort of in a state of shock, and I didn't. It's not until you get older and you realise.
You look back.
Yeah, that you put an explanation to what happened.
Okay.
And so he said, but we always thought you was going to harm us, and I said, no, no reason to harm you. And he wanted me then to explain what happened, and I told him what my experience was with that. But why they done that, I don't know. I don't know. There's no sort of explanation for that. But that was, as I say, one of the first things that I started thinking then, well, what is going on? Does this happen to other people? Can't ask the question, because people just think you're completely crazy. So it was an illusion. So now somebody's told me that they saw it as well. 2 people there that saw this thing happen. I got home that evening, I said to my mother that I'd been in the river down there and I caught my shin on a piece of glass.
So you didn't want to tell anyone what
So
had happened to
I actually made an excuse. So why should I want to make an excuse? But I did. That's what happened. But I know my mother knew different. She knows, and she's still alive, and she knows what went on. But she won't admit to any of it.
Could you? I know it's really going back in time for you, but can you remember anything about this place that you were taken into, where they took a nick of your skin?
It
What
just
was
looked
it like?
No, to me it was like a clinic.
Oh, okay.
Very clinical. That's the only thing.
And was there other people there?
No, just that one person. It was a person.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't a slug or a little grey thing.
No greys.
No, it was quite human looking.
Yeah. Now you don't believe in the greys as such, do you?
Well, I'd have to believe if I saw one, wouldn't I?
Okay.
But I haven't experienced that. And I don't know, I think it's a bit of a myth, and I think that I can't, because I've not experienced anything like this before.
Okay.
And so I went inside, and it was very clinical. And then he just took a nick out of my shin.
Was this someone the same age as you? You said a boy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just a youngster. Might have even been younger than me.
Okay.
With this beautiful blonde hair.
Can I just ask how they were dressed?
how they were
Can you
dressed.
remember?
I wouldn't. Well, yeah, I can remember. I didn't have a shirt and tie on. didn't have overalls on.
You dressed
but
just...
sort of a bluey clothes they had on.
Okay.
I can't remember whether they were trousers or what they had on, but like a bluey. I wasn't taking that much notice really.
Okay.
I was quite shook as to why he would want to sort of nick my
So
shit.
they took you into a building, or
Yeah.
one person took you into a building.
Yes.
And
yeah.
then they took a
I was assuming it was a
chunk
blood
out of
sample.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you not wonder why they were doing
Of course I
that?
did.
Did you not object?
No, but no, because I just wasn't the flow. I was in a state of shock, I suppose.
Okay.
But I did have a feeling that there was no harm in what was happening.
Okay.
You know.
So you were quite at peace with the situation.
Yeah, and of course, then later years, I can only assume that it was a craft that I went on.
Okay.
That's some sort of if you like, alien craft. But my granddaughter said to me, "Well, you don't see UFOs, Granddad. How can you call them UFOs when you claim to be on board these things? So you know what they are. You know, they're ships from somewhere else."
Exactly.
So that was probably a bit of a wake-up call when I was a kid. But this is my friend telling me that at the time he remembered it. He didn't go inside himself. There was two boys. There was Dave and a guy called Roy. And they said that they felt as though they were frozen at the time. They couldn't move. And it just...
Did you feel like time had stopped or
I
changed?
didn't sit in my garden looking up at the stars all night or anything silly like that, and I don't. I listen to a lot of people, what they have to say about the subject, but I try to distance myself from what they're saying as to what really happens to me. So when I researched it, because I'm not a UFO researcher, I researched myself. It was what I thought was happening, and actually took the trouble to get copies of X-rays. That was how I got the proof. Got medical reports, so I've got the proof as what's been happening. So I suppose from sort of 15 or 16 was a bit of a hard time for me when you suddenly are becoming an adult and you're going to deal with things in the real life, and when you get friends that you don't want them to think it's a bit weird, there's something going on here. But friends of mine have contacted me since, like back from when I was 14 or 15.
Okay.
There was one incident that some guy came to my home probably about 10 years ago, and because I'm getting on for about 33 now, so about 10 years ago, he turned up and he said, we hadn't seen each other for about 20 years,
Okay.
and he said, do you remember the time when we was in this particular park? And I said, yes. He said, and you went to the corner of the park. He said there was like a greenish mist hanging over the park, and I thought then it had something to do with the stream that ran through the park. And I went across there, and then there was a little boy with similar colour hair to yours and these big blue eyes, and invited me into somewhere, which at the time it could have been the pavilion, I don't know. Something
so
like that.
you were invited into a
Yeah.
building?
Into something, yeah.
Oh, into something.
But
Did
when
you?
I went in there, I didn't recognise it. It was obviously strange, you know.
Okay. It was a building, though.
No, it wasn't. No. To me, I was trying to, in my mind, accept it as a building.
Okay.
Say too much, because I don't want to be thinking that more women seem to have experiences with them than not, and I don't know why. So.
Well, I've come across this in other cases where I've spoke to people, and what the general consensus is because women only produce one egg per month, whereas a male obviously produces a lot of sperm, that there's less need for them to take the men, because people seem to think that they are crossbreeding or making a new population of alien human hybrids. We're not really sure what the bottom of it is, but that is why more women are taken than men, because they can get quite a lot from men. That's why, you know, it's not very often that happens. But we're not sure why they take particular men. Is it just a lottery, or is there a specific reason that a certain male is taken? Is it because maybe someone in their family, their genetic line has been taken before them, so they want to carry on a certain line? What do you think about that theory?
Well, that's I hear what you say, but I don't really have an interest. I think that like women have their thing every month, and it affects their body big time.
Yes.
And I've known of women that have told me stories about things, but I found out that they've had miscarriages or upsets in their life, and it's a way for them to react, because I don't think there's any scientific proof that little grey aliens that come along and kidnap somebody and taken them away and probed them or prodded them. I can't see what they should do, because
But they're
if these
not always
people,
greys, are they, that they're taking?
I don't know. I've not heard.
Hi Terry, thank you so much for inviting us here today. Now we are going to go on an incredible journey with your life. You have had some amazing experiences since you were a child, basically connected around extraterrestrials. Now you call your friends the extraterrestrials, your Orion friends, but what we'd like to know is really when and how did it all begin for you?
I don't call them my Orion friends.
Oh, you don't?
No, it was when I had the book published that the publishers called them my Orion friends.
Oh, apologies, okay.
That's all right. When it all started for me, I suppose, from the time when I could acknowledge things and realise that, yeah, I'm here. But at a very young age, when I knew that I could probably, if I sat and concentrated, I could probably realise what people were thinking. Mm-hmm. And to me, I didn't think that was anything strange, because why should I? Mm-hmm. As a kid, I wouldn't know that. And I did know there was things going on in people's lives with sicknesses at a very young age, and I felt the ability that I might be able to help them as well. But as the years went on, I think the most amazing thing was when I had some back surgery done, which couldn't be done where we are now. It had to have been done outside of this planet. So that was when it all come home to me that, big time, there's more to this than just a psychic ability or a healing ability. There's also a real seriousness to it as to where all this stuff's coming from. Then I'm not a UFO researcher. I don't